Okay, welcome back. Solo roll Mangging. Phandelver and below. I don't know, it's called the Shattered Obelisk. I don't know. It's like Phandelver and below the Shattered Obelisk or something. I think that's the full name. Phandelver and below the Shattered Obelisk. I think a lot of people just call it the Shattered Obelisk, but this has no bearing on anything. Anyways. So we're using Tales of Argosa, and we're using 2 custom classes that I've put together for Tales of Argosa. Basically just stealing from other people's work and just converting it to Tales of Argosa, as is the nature of the TTRPG world. So we've got Felina, our War Dancer, and Harris, our Star Mage. And it's been, relatively slow going so far. We have picked up a few side quests, essentially, and traveled out into the wilderness to deal with them. And we completed one. Very easy, no problem, very simple. We're not getting XP for that, really, until we get back to town, though. The second one was to investigate some zombies and stuff. Technically, as far as I understand the wording, we did complete the quest, even though we didn't really do anything. Yeah, it's weird, but as far as I understand it, we're not required to actually kill all the zombies and the necromancer. So, yeah. And then we made a tier down to Wyvern Tor, which is essentially just a hidden cave in the mountains. And we found a bugbear out front guarding the place. Likely more out front. And we stealthily took down the bugbear, but there is more. There is more inside, and there's going to be shit inside. We don't know what yet, but there's going to be shit. Now, it's been a few days since I recorded the last one, so I had some thinking time, and my first thing that I want to mention was I was like, we use Axe, the Adventure Conqueror King system. We borrow a lot of stuff from there. Why wouldn't I use their bestiary? Why wouldn't I use their monster manual for all sorts of stuff? Why would I use other monster manuals? Surely this has got to be the best. And so I looked at the bugbear sheet from Axe, and they're pretty monstrous. And you can see they are literally meant to be a hybrid of a hobgoblin and a bear. They stand about 7'6" tall and weigh about 400 pounds. Now, again, this is Axe version of the bugbear. This is obviously not like Forgotten Realms bugbear. But yeah, I mean, this I feel sort of works well when you hear the bear part of a bugbear, and then you see this thing. It's almost like a were-bear, but not quite. And they're not bred with humans, they're bred with hobgoblins. And then if you dig a little deeper, you see that hobgoblins are actually bred between goblins and men. So they are distantly related to humans in this lore, but yeah, obviously a lot of bear. So they have 14 AC. They have a hit dice 3+1. So you're looking at probably about 15 HP. 14 or 15. On average. They get 1 attack. Weapon 7+. I'm pretty sure that we would interpret it as they get a +3 on their attack rolls. And then they actually do +1 damage on all their weapon attacks. So if they're swinging like a big, like a big great axe or something, they're doing 1d12 +1. So they hit a little bit harder, as you'd imagine. And they're also naturally stealthy. So characters encountering bugbear suffer a -2 penalty to surprise rolls. We would basically interpret that as like they get a +4 on any stealth rolls opposed by players' perception rolls, you know. That's pretty much how we would work with that, which is very funny because they're stealthy bear men. But if they get caught, you know, or whatever, once they're out of stealth, they fucking crush. So these things, I mean, I really like this interpretation of a bugbear. This feels right. Because if I look up, say, like, well, actually, this should have an image of a bugbear somewhere. Yeah, okay, the Clark there. That's the D&D 5e bugbear, which I mean, he's kind of hairy. He's kind of pretty furry, and he's basically just a big goblin compared to the actual throwing in the bear part of it. Now, I don't know the etymology of a fucking bugbear, so I don't know, but I've definitely had players be like, okay, why is it called a bugbear? You know, what's the bear part? Blah, blah, blah. Here, there would be no questions, really. I guess you'd have a question about the bug part, but still. Yeah. So, obviously, there's a bit of an issue of throwing 4 of these things into this cave alongside an orc and a ogre. These are essentially ogres. And actually, in the Monster Overhaul by Skirples, which is another really good bestiary, and I could use that as well. That, if you go look in the index and you look up bugbear in the index, it just tells you to use the stats and everything for an ogre. So, and I think actually we could go to the axe version of an ogre just for comparison's sake. So they stand 9 to 10 feet tall, weighing around 800 pounds. So they've got a couple feet on the bugbears and twice as heavy. But they have the same AC. They have 1 more hit die, and they hit obviously a little bit harder. They get +3 on damage rolls from their weapon. Yeah, I mean, they're certainly more formidable, as I'd expect, but you could think of a bugbear as basically a lesser ogre. So with that in mind, yeah, I'm not going to throw 4 of these in, and I'm already terrified about putting a fucking ogre in here. I think really we should replace the ogre with a bugbear, and then replace the bugbears in this cave with hobgoblins. Because again, what we have in Wyvern Tor here. Actually, let me go back to Encounter in Phandalin, blah, blah, blah. And go back to the quest that we got hired for. Yeah. He's looking for someone to head east on the Tribor Trail, where marauders have attacked several caravans near Wyvern Tor. The most recent victims reported at least 1 strange goblin accompanied the marauders, which consist of at least an ogre and some bugbears. Okay. So I don't know the exact narrative here, other than they're just a little gang. So I think it's fairly flexible, and in the original version, it is mostly a bunch of orcs. So I think we keep probably the orc. I think we swap the bugbears for hobgoblins, and then swap the ogre for a bugbear. And I think we've got a fairly balanced encounter there. Now, I know what you're thinking. I always say that, but no, I have no idea what you're thinking. But, you know, there is always like that notion that in an OSR kind of game, there is not meant to be any semblance of balance. But the thing is, there kind of has to be some semblance of balance. Because you could make a world, you can make a campaign where it's just completely covered in dragons, and you can't take 2 steps without bumping into, you know, a 20 hit die dragon that just melts you with fire. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's no balance in this game. Go for it. And it's like, maybe some people might enjoy that sort of extreme, ridiculous challenge, I guess, if it even is possible to play in a campaign like that. But no, most people want a reasonable challenge, I suppose. They want to earn their victories, but they want to start out with fighting goblins and rats and things like that. That is typical, and then you work your way up to higher and higher stuff as you grow more powerful. That is the typical progression of most fantasy campaigns, for good reason. It just makes sense. Now you can encounter stuff that's above your pay grade, and maybe you can sort of overcome or defeat stuff that's above your pay grade, and that comes, it feels especially earned, sure. But most of the time, you're seeking out challenges that are kind of appropriate to you, and the DM presumably provides those kind of challenges most of the time. We're dealing with something a little weird here because we are running a kind of narrative campaign, but it's the same thing. It's like if you run a module, if you run a pre-written thing for a level 1 adventure, and it's a level 1 dungeon designed for level 1 players, you're not going to bump into a fucking basilisk in room number 6. It's just not going to happen. It's a level 1 dungeon. And certainly there's a little bit of like suspension of belief in the fact that a level 1 dungeon can even really exist, and hasn't been taken over by more powerful stuff. But that's just because this is, at the end of the day, a game. So, yeah, I mean, the OSR thing, there's not much balance, blah, 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 but there still is. There's not no balance. It's just, we don't tend to care as much as like 5th edition or Pathfinder about statting out encounters based on like a point systems based on the party size and blah, blah, blah. You just throw things into areas, into rooms, into locations that make relative amount of sense and are at a relative balance of power, and it's up to the players to sort of shift things into their favor. I would say, yeah, the OSR, an OSR game tends to skew by itself, not in the player's favor, but that's where the fun part is that the players earn their victories. Whereas, I would say in a lot of like 5th edition games, there are a lot of fights and things that are not earned as much. And that's all I'm going to say on that. We harp on 5e a lot, but it's fine. I mean, I started with 4th edition, which was very much not what we're doing here. So, All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think hobgoblins are pretty reasonable here. They have armor class of 13. They have about 5 or 6 health on average. Now, I mean, I always just use the average for hit dice. But it is meant to be, well, it's not meant to be, but, it can be rolled. And you can roll it for each individual creature if you want. So I could roll for all these 4 a d8 plus 1. And so you could have some of these that have only 2 health, or you could have one that has 9 health or something, it's very possible. We always just use average because it's so much easier. But there is something to be said, I suppose, for the variety's sake and the realism's sake, that the players can never be sure that, 4 damage, he's dead. No, he might not be. Mostly, though, it's just due to, like, saving time. If you're going to plan out a dungeon ahead of time, sure, I mean, I guess you could roll. But, I mean, there are plenty of, like, pre-written modules that don't, provide HP values for each one. They just say, yep, they each have 1 hit die. But I've read modules and run modules that have specified HP. Anyways, we're on a lot of tangents today before I get started. So, right, yeah, so they get basically +1 in their attacks. They do weapon damage +1 because they are formidable warriors, and pretty much the rest as is. Now, always the issue for any of this stuff when converting to Tales of Argosa is going to be stats. And, like strength, dexterity, constitution, blah, blah, blah. Many times it's not relevant. You're not doing luck rolls or anything like that. But, yeah, if it comes up, I always have to go back to the Tales of Argosa bestiary and look at sort of the equivalent. For these guys, I'd probably just use Scorn stats, which is their version of the Orc. I mean, you can spitball. Anything in like the 10 to 12 range at this point is pretty fair game, unless it's like notably big and strong. See here. Scorn has 15 strength. Okay. Yeah. I'd say strength for monsters tends to skew a little higher. 10 dex, 13 constitution, 7 intelligence, 12 perception, 8 will, 8 charisma, 5 luck. They do have... The hobgoblins do have lightless vision. Although that's a whole trend that's kind of falling away a little bit because it's just obnoxious. And then the orc here for axe is similar. 13 AC, 1 hit die, no +1. Actually, they don't get a +1 on their attacks, and they don't get a +1 on damage. So the orc by itself is kind of a lesser fighter, although they can move faster. And that's kind of about it, though. So, since our orc is sort of the leader of this little group, we'll give him a stat bump. So we could give him the champion stats, 14 AC, 1 hit dice, +1 HP, and probably just give him 8, and a +1 damage bonus. So he's a little bit, he's a beefy orc. And we'll say, yeah, I mean, the big difference would be the 1 extra AC and the more HP. Okay. And then we're running a bugbear as the ogre, so blah, blah, blah. Okay. Right, so that's all that situated. So then I was thinking about, okay, well, how do I want to tackle this cave? How do I want to... What's the best approach to make this not a fair fight? Because a fair fight is a fight you've already lost. And I think what we want to do... This is the start of a plan. At least it's something. It's a little bit of attrition. I think basically we want to, like, go over here, go on the other side of the boulder, and, like, prop up the dead... Well, I guess this is a hobgoblin we killed now. So we'll prop up the dead hobgoblin, kind of leaning against the boulder a little bit, facing south. And then Felina will kind of be crouched next to him, sort of holding him up a bit. With her, with her weapon ready. And Harris then will be over here in the bushes. And he'll kind of keep an eye on here, because eventually, I mean, I don't know how long, we have no idea. Eventually, one of these guys, one of the other hobgoblins most likely, is going to wander out here, either to replace him, or just to be like, what the fuck, where's Fred? Whatever. And then he'll come over here and be like, hey, Fred, what's going on? What's up? And then he touches him and he slumps over and then we stab him. It's a classic. Never goes out of style. Because we're assuming that hobgoblins are not too intelligent, and if we're using Scorn stats, they have an intelligence of 7, so they're pretty stupid. It's going to work out in our favor. Harris can't really do a whole lot. But he could throw his spear. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and use Manipulate Reality. We're going to go ahead and use that right now. So we're going to use our Celestial Alignment. Blah, blah, blah. and we activate Manipulate Reality. I didn't really put a skill check on this because I don't know. It seems like a really lame thing to fail, and it just doesn't happen. So I don't know. I don't like that really. I do think some of these maybe. I think like a Moment in Time probably should have a check, but Manipulate Reality is, I don't know. You could, but it just feels lame to me to use it and then you don't even get it. You just fail a arbitrary D20 roll and you just fail, and yeah, sorry, asshole. So yeah, so we're gonna roll a D20. All right, we got an 8. So we can now replace any D20 roll that comes up, as long as it occurs within 30 feet or so of Harris. We can replace it with an 8. I'm not going to forget that number, don't worry. I'll never forget. So that's obviously on the low side, so it's going to probably be directed at an attack roll from an enemy, because an 8 against Felina or something or Harris, that's going to be a miss. So we can turn a success into a miss, essentially, is what we can do, which is pretty handy when you have 8 hit points or something. All right. And yeah, we're good. So now we wait, and now I have to decide how long it takes before someone comes out to check. Yeah, I mean, he could have just gone out here. You know, he could have just been replaced. So I think we're gonna have to tick by hours, and I feel like we got here fairly late in the evening. We used the nighttime map because I took forever to find the place. I remember now. All right, so yeah, we're gonna say it's like 8 p.m. and we're gonna do a D6 roll every hour, and it'll start with if we roll a 6. And then it'll be a 5 or 6, so on and so forth. So eventually someone will come out, whether to be replaced or to check on him, we'll see. So the first hour, 8 to 9 p.m. Okay, well, that's excellent. We don't have to lose any sleep over this. So now they probably wouldn't be checking on him. I feel like that would be unusual. So this is probably a replacement. At like 9 o'clock or something. They don't have watches, whatever. I don't know how they tell, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I'm gonna replace him. So we got a guy coming out, and he calls out in Goblin, and we don't speak Goblin, but I could have one of my characters speak Goblin because it's probably gonna be relevant at some point. But it's not relevant now, so let's not worry about it. And he's just strolling down, and he's obviously saying something to this guy who's not responding. And I think we do need to roll a perception for him, because I am hiding in the bushes on the top of the embankment, but I potentially am still noticeable, and it is possible for him to notice that something is up. So I'm gonna give him a perception roll. I'm not gonna oppose it. Actually, I'm gonna have him just roll a straight up perception roll with disadvantage, because he is kind of stupid, and it would be really hard for him to spot Harris, but it is possible. So he's gonna roll twice. He needs to roll 12 or under on both of these. He did not. Okay, very close. Oh, very close. Okay, so he's just like, oh, yeah, what's going on? And then he's like, hey, Fred, what's happening? Something like that. I mean, something. He gets there or something. Okay, and now Felina's going to jump out and ambush him. Okay, so this is a surprise attack from her, because he failed his perception. And again, it could have been opposed. But it was more just a general perception check on his part to notice the situation being off. And that basically took his intelligence into account as well. Okay, so she's going to roll with advantage. That's just on her first attack. The second attack still is going to have disadvantage. Or do they both get advantage and it cancels out the disadvantage? That's a good question, isn't it? I will not find the answer in this rulebook. I know that for a fact. The ambusher's first attack is made at advantage, is what it says. Well, honestly, I think that's kind of clear then. Because you do get second attacks later on. So no matter how many attacks you're making in one round, it only applies to the first one. Yeah, I think that's clear enough. Okay, so she's going to roll with her mace. She'll roll with advantage. Yeah, I don't have to add anything. We fixed that issue for now, so just advantage. All right, 16 is a hit. Unfortunately, it's not a very good one. She rolled a 1 on her damage roll. So, I think we're counting this as average. So they have, we'll say 6. We'll go with 6 health on them. So he's at half health, and now she's going to roll her longsword disadvantage. Yeah, obviously a miss. It's going to be quite tricky to land. So that was her surprise. Now, we could also do a minor exploit, and I think we will. We're going to try to knock this bastard to the ground. We don't want him running and telling mommy. That big giant bugbear in there. So we're going to roll her... Fuck, it's strength, isn't it? Which seems harsh just for like a trip, you know? But yeah, it says an opposed strength check to knock an opponent off his feet. I don't know. I mean, it's flexible. That's just an example. It doesn't have to be set in stone. I don't think it has to always be strength, though. I think if you're using your dexterity to, knock him down, like unbalance him or something like that, I don't think it's necessarily strength-based. I think it's a little more flexible than that. I don't think it could ever be like constitution or willpower or something, but I think strength or dex here, fairly flexible. Now, some of the other ones that are strength-based, it might be a little harder to justify. And I think depending on the target, it probably would have to be strength, because no matter how dexterous you are, it's going to be a little tricky to topple like a dragon. You know, at the end of the day, it might just be you're using brute force to try to push it over. And that one, I don't even know if you would be allowed to do, but for a human-sized opponent, I feel like you could use strength or dexterity here. And yes, this is all just to justify that I want to use my higher dexterity. So let's roll dexterity and roll shit. No, we rolled a great success, so we succeeded by 5. So I will now let him roll his dexterity, which is not going to be too good for him. Of course, I moved off that page because that's what I do. 10. So he needs to roll a 1. He did not. All right, so he got knocked down to the ground. Perfect. Okay. Now we roll initiative, and we'll have Harris do it. Of course, he failed. Well, we have preemptive strike. So, no, not preemptive strike. No, we don't have moment of time. Fuck, we don't have anything. So he's going to get up. Okay, he's going to get up and he's going to start moving. So now she has one chance to, well, hold on. He gets up, then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, he can't get to the cave entrance, but he probably will call for help. So we'll have to evaluate it if that happens. But we do get one free attack. Now, I don't know if you can use your... don't know if you can use your offhand. Where the hell does it talk about that? It says the opponent gains one free melee attack against the character. No, yeah, it wouldn't make much sense. It's got to be just one. So we're gonna roll with the mace here. Just a normal one, no advantage. Big miss. Okay. Fuck. There's nothing I can do about that. So yeah, he gets here. And that's his turn. And obviously he's gonna be shouting for help. Because he's bleeding pretty heavily here. He got cracked over the head with a mace. And Fred is dead. So things are bad. He shouts for help. Okay. Obviously, we don't want to accept that. So it's our turn. Yeah, obviously, I'm really bummed that Harris failed his 75% chance to roll initiative. Pretty fucking peeved about that. Because that shouldn't have been too tough. Alright, Felina's just gonna have to rush up and try and butcher him real quick. Normal. That's it. See, why couldn't I do that before? Okay, yeah, obliterates his skull, cutting off his shout immediately. He's dead. That's her turn. Okay, we're gonna attempt something a little bit more of a shenanigan. Okay, we're going to attempt to use fold space. So we're gonna make two person-sized portals within close range, so within 30 feet of Harris. So I need to get out my measuring. Oh, fuck. Okay, he can make one, like, there. No, he can move. Okay, good. Yeah, he can move. Okay, yeah. He can move first. So he's going to move out. He's going to move to these other bushes. Should get him. Perfect. Okay, so he's going to make one portal basically on the ground. Again, there's this weird embankment here going into the cave, but we said that this was flush. So, it's flush. So, he's going to make one portal here. Right there on the ground. And then he's going to make the other portal, let's see. Yeah, but it's like... God, fucking Pythagorean theorem here. Because it would be... If he wants to make it 30 feet up, it has to be straight up above him. Anything less than 30 feet, they only will take 2d6 damage, or... Actually, according to Tales of Argosa, any fall up to close range is 3d6. But I don't agree with that. And that's only the rule because they don't count specific feet. So we're going with the classic rule of every 10 feet is 1d6. So 30 feet would be straight up above. And they would take 3d6. Except he's at the top of this embankment here, this little cliff. It's not really clear how tall these are, but we'll say 10 feet just to be simple. So technically, if he puts this portal 25, no, let's say 20. If he puts it 20 feet above this crevice, that is a 30-foot fall. So he's going to put the other portal... This is a little dangerous, I agree. But he's going to put the other portal like here. So 30 feet up in the air. Well, 20 feet up in the air from him at a bit of an angle. Pythagorean theorem, blah, blah, blah. It's acceptable. So that means, presumably, in a perfect world, they will rush out of the cliff, or out of the cave, fall into the portal, and their momentum will then carry them out, and they will fall 30 feet onto the crevice here. But for that to happen, I do have to succeed on my intellect arcane lore roll. So let's roll that. +1. I will use all my rerolls if necessary. All right, we're good. So we used fold space. Okay, portal's created. So now it's a new round. We'll roll initiative. Okay, we failed, of course. So that's that. And now I have to adjudicate, do they notice this portal? It is kind of dark, you know, at the end of this, at the cave entrance. It's away from their campfire a little bit. It is nighttime. And we're kind of throwing away sort of night vision and all that bullshit. So I think it is relatively unlikely they'll see it, but it is an oddity because the other side of this portal, I mean, it's going to look like, I don't know, it's going to look different. It doesn't look like the ground. So obviously I'm giving them a perception roll. But it is hampered a little bit by the fact that they're not looking on the ground. You know, they're grabbing their weapons and running out to help whoever the guy that shouted for help. So it's aided by that, and it's also aided by the fact that it's, they're not very bright. But the first one that falls through, it's going to be less likely for the second one not to notice it. So the first one has the greatest chance of failing. So this is going to be a perception check, and it's just going to be straight up. And I'm going to go with a -4 on this first guy's perception to see if he notices the weird spot on the ground. And I need an order in which they'd come out. So technically there were 4 in there, then we killed 1. So there's 3 hobgoblins, the orc champion, and then the bugbear. So we're going to have... we'll do the 2 hobgoblins, then the orc, then the hobgoblin, and then finally the bugbear last. So this first hobgoblin coming out, he has to roll an 8 or lower. Whew, he did not. Perfect. Okay. So he rushes out and he pushes through this portal, falls in, and he's going to take 3d6 damage. And as long as that adds up to 6, he is fucking dead. Just barely, Jesus. Now, yes, I am aware that he technically could fall on Felina. So I'm going to give her an acrobatics dex check to sort of dodge slightly out of the way. Which shouldn't be. This is her wheelhouse. She fucking failed. That's gonna hurt like hell, so no, use a reroll on that shit. There you go. Okay. So she'll step out of the way a little bit. Okay, now the second one coming through is gonna be definitely a little better, and we'll just have him run a flat perception. So this is 12 or under. Okay, so he notices that there is kind of a portal or something. There's something on the ground that blocks, or that his buddy just fell through, apparently to his death. So he's just gonna hop over the portal, which is not even a roll. So that just is what it is. But that is gonna affect his turn a little bit. So he's gonna get to like here. The third guy then is, I could say that he just automatically notices his buddy. Maybe his buddy said something. We could argue that. Yeah, it's probably the most fair way to do it. So his other buddy will also just hop over. Then the orc. Yeah, I think the orc, I don't know. He's obviously going to come help. I'm just questioning, would he have like his armor on or his weapon on or something? Would he be a little slower? Would he maybe not notice or something like that? Yeah, maybe. Or am I just like, am I just trying to make this too easy for myself and I'm just trying to like finagle something? Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna just leave it up to the Oracle. All right, 50-50. Question is, does the orc automatically notice the portal? He does not. Okay. Fine, but I am gonna give him a pretty hefty bonus here. We'll still use just scorn stats, and I'll give him a +4. So, he would have to roll a 17 or higher to not notice it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's very unlikely for him not to notice, especially after hearing us falling scream, which is a very odd thing. So obviously something was odd, and very well his buddy, one of the hobgoblins, could have mentioned something. So we will just throw this as our orc, and he'll jump over, but he gets to like there. The bugbear will wait one round on. Definitely the slowest. He might have been even sleeping or something, so he's just, he don't give a shit. Okay, so that's where that's all at. And that's their turn. Then we went, now we go. So Felina, she could use Distracting Dance, which would give likely all of them -4 on their attack rolls until the end of the next round. It would be her turn, and she would be surrounded. So really, they'd be getting like +2 for surrounding her. But it is theoretically possible. An alternative would be that she tries to, she's gonna take ops, though. But she could try and move up here and then, like, push him into the portal, since he just jumped over it. But her strength is garbage compared to his. I have athletics, so I could use a reroll. But, yeah, the ops, because I don't think I can get there otherwise without entering their threat range. This is a very narrow... There's no way. There's no way. I'd have to do some sort of major exploit where I just, like, leap over them or something and then, flying sidekick this guy into the portal, which is pretty badass, I won't lie. But it sounds like a pretty tough major exploit. It is pretty cool, though, as an acrobatics major exploit. Yeah, would I put -2 or -4 on something like that? I think just leaping over the 2 enemies as a major exploit with acrobatic, that's probably just straight up as normal. So we're adding on now this flying sidekick to knock him in. That's almost a major exploit on its own, really. Technically, I'd call it a minor exploit. So we're combining a minor and a major. But it is just a kick, and I'm not doing any damage with it. So we'll call it a -2. So this is just going to be luck dex -2. So I need to roll a 11 or under, thanks to my good dex. This is going to be -2. Boom. Woo! Rolling a 1. Beautiful. Okay, so my luck goes down because of that. But yeah, he gets knocked into the portal and flies out the other side. And he's taking 3d6 from his tremendous fall. So we said we were giving him, what, 8? For being the champion. So he's got 8 hit points. So this should kill him almost certainly. Oh, just barely. Okay. So, and he falls to his death. Done. Excellent. Badass, man. That's teamwork right there. It's very good. I rolled a 1. So that means that even if I said it's -8 for this ridiculous exploit you're trying to do, still succeed. It's all good. All right, then that's the round. So new round. And I think now it's Horus's initiative. Yep, that's good. Hopefully he doesn't fail again. He fucking failed again. All right, it's not the end of the world. They're not giving up, so they're gonna flank her. So they're both gonna get +2 total on their attack rolls. Remember, we can swap either of these with an 8 to cause a miss. So, yeah, they need to roll a 12 or higher. Jesus. One of them rolled a 1, which allows me to automatically counterattack, because that's the go-to for a melee fumble. So this one right here is going to roll... Yeah, we're going to roll just 1 attack, just with our mace. Normal. Okay. Boom. Wounded him. Yeah, I won't allow minor exploits on a free attack like that. But yeah, we wounded him, and neither of them hurt me, so it's all good. I also realized that if I had failed that luck dexterity thing, I could have swapped it with the 8. Which makes manipulate reality even more interesting. Because if you roll low, you can use that for a lot of things on your own side where you want to roll low. It's not necessarily you give it to an enemy. I didn't even think about that because I was thinking about, like Shadow the Weird Wizard has spells that are like this. But obviously you want to roll high for your own shit. But here, pretty much any roll can be used on your side for something. Alright, so he's wounded. He's still at 6. And then the bugbear is gonna mosey out. The big man. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just use something. And will he notice? I'm gonna give him a flat roll. He's kind of dumb. He's got his enemy right there. You know, there's combat. There's blood in the air. So I'm gonna give him just a normal perception roll here. And if we go to the actual bugbear stats, they have a perception of 11. So that's what I'm going to give him. 11 or under, he will see it. Roll to 15. He does not see it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. So, again, they have 3 hit dice plus 1, so we're looking at about 15 health. It's very unlikely he'll die from this fall, but it's gonna hurt. Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god, bugbear down! Just this tremendous boom, just blood explosion. Just... Damn, dude. I probably am too kind to myself overall. I mean, I don't know if this portal plan should have done that much, but fuck me, man. Okay, cool. Then, it's our turn. I'm gonna have Harris throw a spear at the wounded one. And... I could have sworn there was something... Yeah. I have to keep this in mind. If you're shooting a ranged weapon or throwing a ranged weapon into melee, so a target is in melee, they gain +2 AC, and if you miss, there's a 30% chance that you have to reroll the same attack against an ally in the same melee. So it's a little risky here, but he's gonna attempt it. So he's going to roll his perception. So he's basically gonna roll a d20 straight up, and he has to get a 15 or higher. Yeesh. It's probably not worth doing, really. Ah, you only live once, right? All right, he's throwing it. He fumbled. Okay, so that basically means we skip that 33% chance, and we have to immediately roll against Felina. All right, I rolled a 2. Okay, so that spear just goes off into the bushes. I mean, it's nowhere near anything. Terrible. Thanks, Harris. He did his job, though. We can't complain about Harris. Okay, Felina is going to attack. She's going to target the full health one. Yeah. Okay. Normal. She missed. All right. Then she'll target the wounded one with her offhand. Not quite, according to... Yeah, they have 13. So, double miss. And she's got nothing. This is where, though, I have to roll morale for them because... You know. They're clearly outmatched. So, for their morale, they're just rolling... They need to get 8 or under to stick around. Okay, they are determined. They want blood. This bitch. Because they still don't really know, I guess, that Harris is involved. So this bitch is some sort of evil witch, and they want her dead. So now it's her initiative. Excellent. So she's going to repeat the same stuff. The mace against the full health guy. Still a miss. Sword against the wounded guy. Fumble. Okay, he's going to get an immediate counterattack at +2. That is a hit. We'll replace that with the 8. So that's used. And it's a miss. And now Harris can take a turn. He doesn't have his spear anymore. So he's going to just open up a... Yeah, he's going to open up just a small portal, like, right here. With the full health guy kind of in sight. So that he can stick his staff through and, like, poke him in the head. That's really... with a staff, I kind of question it. Anything you have to swing, it doesn't really work through one of those little portals. That's why he has a spear. And so he's going to go pick up his spear. He's going to go over here and grab his spear. That's his turn. All right, they get to go. So they're both going to be attacking her. Again, this is +2. They both miss again. Amazing. So now we go back to Harris's initiative. Great success. Excellent. She's going to swing at the full health guy. He is now wounded, and she'll follow it up. Same guy, I guess, with disadvantage. Miss. Okay, and then Harris, he'll open up a portal. Or he could throw his spear again, but that doesn't seem likely. So, yeah, he'll just open up a portal next to this thing. A little hand-sized portal. They get to go. Double attack on her. That is going to be a hit. So now I have to decide what weapons they're using. Probably just clubs or something, or hatchets. So it's a d6 plus 1. 6 damage to her. Ouch. She finally feels it. Nothing I can do about that one. Okay. New initiative then from Felina. Failure. Alright, they see that she bleeds, so they know that they can kill it. So they'll roll again, and that is another hit. D6 plus 1. Good. Only 2. But she's in pain. Harris, he's gonna stab his spear through the portal to hit this thing. You know, the fact that it's so near it is sort of counterbalanced by the fact that it is a moving target that is armored and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a normal attack roll. It basically lets him do melee attacks from range unless they move. So that's kind of good. So he's just going to stab with his spear with 2 hands. And he kills it. Boom. So no brainer. Stab your stick through the hole, right through the glory hole, and kill it dead. Excellent. Alright, now Felina can just focus down this last one. My cat's in the way, and it is a kill. Excelente. Boom. Done. Well, that was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. I don't like to pat myself on the back, but that was pretty good. I'm going to give myself 3 XP for that whole combat. Because I think it was handled about as well as I could, honestly, considering 2 characters and my level of resources. I think pretty solid. So I'm going to now short rest, and my portals will close. Felina short rest. Double failure. She really wants some amount of health back, so we're gonna re-roll. Excellent. Alright, puts her back at 10. We'll be sleeping, and we'll probably sleep in their cave, I guess, so we'll at least get 1 back. And then Harris, double success. Okay, well, he really just wants Bold Space and Celestial Alignments back. No, I didn't want to reroll. Bold Space and Celestial Alignment. All right, he's back in business. Excellent. I'm quite pleased with all that. I mean, the fucking 15 damage roll on the bugbear falling, that was stupendous. And the exact amount of damage I think I needed on all 3 things that fell, right? The Hobgoblin I needed 6, I rolled 6. The Orc I needed 8, I rolled 8. And the Bugbear I needed 15, I rolled 15. Something is just really in my favor. Alright, so then we're going to head into the cave very cautiously, because there might be another bugbear sleeping in there or something, but there isn't. And we see on the cave walls a strange scrawled drawing depicting a lanky goblin with a crystal jutting from its skull. Now, we don't know much about the local goblins or anything like that, but this is obviously a very strange goblin. This is not a normal goblin. Yeah, so there isn't much we can say about it now, but we'll take note of it. Okay, we find the loot. They plundered several homesteads farther north on the way to Wyvern Tor. There's an unlocked treasure chest here. It has 180 silver, 15 EP, and 3 vials of perfume worth 5 gold pieces each. Okay. Yeah, we don't like EP. I don't care for that. So those are each 5 silver. So that's 15 times 5, which is a number that I will type in here because I don't want to use my brain. 75 silver, which means let's just make it 185 silver and 7 gold. Done. So we'll go 185 silver. Take that. And you can grab the 7 gold. Boom. And then we can grab the perfume. We have 3 of them. And 5 GP each. And that'll be in our pack. Okay. It's not a huge haul, to be honest. It's barely a haul at all. I hesitate to even give 1 XP for it, but I will. Okay, so that's good, and we're basically done here. So we're gonna camp here for the night. We'll keep watch, obviously, but we'll camp here for the night. Because like I said, it's about 9. Thankfully, they came out to check very quickly, so it's about 9-ish. So we can rest here for about 12 hours for our usual watch setup. So, I'm not even going to roll for a random encounter, because I think it's pretty unlikely. This is somewhat of a safe location. I'm not going to heal 2, but we will heal 1 here. So bump up to 11, blah, blah, blah. And it's a new day. Okay. So now we just have to make the trek back home. Which is certainly a bit of a trek. Yeah, because this is going to be... I don't know if I'm counting this as, like, difficult terrain or not. Yeah, I mean, Tales of Argosa does count it as 1 step up. Hills, forest, moors, badlands, or desert is 2 watches to enter instead of 1. So I guess I do have to count it as a bit trickier. We could go to Axe to find out a much more specific value of kind of how punishing it is. Adventure, wilderness. Yeah, but bottom line is it should be a little trickier to traverse. Which is going to make this trek back home even more difficult. I don't know if it's going to be like half speed. That seems a little harsh, but no, I guess it is. Speed multiplier times 2. Well, wait a minute. That means it's faster to go across hills. Wait a minute, Mikey. Yeah. I'm still trying to see what this... What is the times 2... Oh, no! I see. I'm an idiot. I thought it was times 2 / times 3, but no, it's times 2/3. Whereas jungle, mountains, and swamps are times 1/2. I see. I'm an idiot. So roads are 50% faster than your normal speed. That's really important to keep in mind. Right, but okay, so basically you're at 66% of your speed. So instead of 24 miles in a day, we can move, math, 16. Yeah. We can move 16 miles per day. So if we set out from here bright and early, 16 miles, your 6-mile hexes, we basically could get about to the start, I guess, of grassland again, which is good. Because I'm going to be rolling random encounter check for each of these 2 hexes we're in. Also, I have to deduct a ration for that night. Unless they had food, but I don't know if I want to eat their food. It's probably nasty shit. So we will eat our own yummy jerky. And go down to 6. Okay. Alright, so first hex we're going into. Good. Second hex. Good. Alright, then we're camping right here on this border. So we're setting up shop. And encounter check for the night. Good. Good. She'll recover another HP. I've been ruling it where if you're in the wilderness, but you're not in like a swamp or something like that, like it's just relatively nice terrain, and you have a bedroll, I'll let you recover 1 hit point. That's basically it. As long as it's not raining. I know we're not rolling for weather here, and I should, but I really haven't been. Weather is just it's tricky. I really need to. Yeah, I really need to just follow the procedure. I need to follow the fucking procedure. And look, we're already like lax on our procedure because it's just like moving and encounter check. But no, I mean, there should be more stuff than that. I should have rolled for weather, and I should have rolled for like our travel rolls. Honestly, I don't know what our travel rolls would be because we don't really want to split up at all. So yeah, because we might get lost. I didn't even account for that because we don't have a guide. We don't have any landmarks or anything. So we could have gotten lost on our way out because it's not like you just look at your compass. So, an int wilderness lore success means you enter your intended hex or hexes. On a great success, you make excellent time and may spend the equivalent of 1 bonus watch this day. On a failure, you become lost. Basically do an oracle check to find out if you wander into a random hex. If not, you spend this watch regaining your bearings in your current hex. Yeah. I really should be doing that. If not for my sake as a solo player, but for just me as a DM, because I do want to do all this. I think it's good to have this level of simulation. But anyways, right, so we recovered 1 HP. The new day, well, we gotta consume a ration. Okay, so now we continue on. So I guess who has wilderness lore? Belina. Well, they both do. And Harris is better. But the alternative is to be the lookout. So I guess, yeah. They're pretty close. They're pretty similar. So I suppose Harris will be our guide and Felina will be the lookout. It makes sense. Those are the 2 roles. So now we're a little bit faster, and once we get to the road, we should be even faster. 50% faster means we can travel 36 miles on the road, which is pretty wild. That doesn't seem like it would make sense. Now, granted, Axe has a lot more factors because it's based on your exploration speed, which is hampered typically by how much you're carrying. And basically, very few characters are going to be carrying little enough to have the 120 feet of exploration speed. where you get to travel 24 miles a day. When I tried out Axe, some of you may recall, I don't think I had a single character that moved 120 feet per turn. Yeah, 'cause it's basically impossible. It's not impossible, but just like, I don't even know if any of the starting templates had let you move at 120. Yeah. So you have to carry 5 stone or less to get the 120. That's practically nothing. So if we look at the fighter templates to see which ones have 5 or less, only the lowest template does, the Thug, with a short bow, Morning Star, leather armor, water skin, and week of rations. That's it. That's all he's carrying, and he's very close to 5 stone. So if you pick up any treasure, pretty much, you're going to be over 5 stone. So yeah, you have to carry just so little, and it doesn't care about your max encumbrance or anything, or how much you could possibly carry. That doesn't influence it. It's literally just 5 stone or under, and that's it. There's almost certainly a proficiency that lets you carry more or adjust your exploration speed. But, what are the odds you're going to have that proficiency? So most likely you're not traveling at 24 miles per day. And so I interpret that as being that's just not the expected amount in this game. Because the whole party would have to be able to move at that. Now, granted, you might have horses and stuff. And yeah, okay, then you're probably traveling at least that. Because the like a medium horse has 180 feet per turn exploration speed, assuming that it's carrying a normal sized load, which is 30. And so as long as it's carrying 30 or less, and a person weighs about 15, and then their equipment on top of that. So as long as you're not carrying 15 stone, your medium horse should be able to move 50% faster than like the fastest human. The fastest normal human. Whereas a light horse, 20 stone load, 240 feet. So you gotta travel light to fit that. You also have to be 5 stone or less to get that full speed. But yeah, I don't know, all sorts of interesting stuff. But I think that the key thing that we can take away from that is that chances are, I would say, the average group in Axe is probably traveling on foot more like 3 hexes per day rather than 4. I think that's much more likely to occur. Possibly even 2 hexes per day, because if you got one guy that's really weighed down, you're moving slow as shit. So in that case, if the expectation is you're moving 3 hexes per day, 18 miles per day, then on a road you could move 27 miles per day, which is kind of what you'd expect. Now, does that mean that I want to bump things down to moving 3 hexes per day instead of 4? I don't know. Maybe. If we go by Tales of Argosa, assuming you're traveling along roads or grasslands or something, you're only moving 3 hexes per day. So I probably should for realism's sake and balance sake and everything, say that the typical movement in grasslands is going to be 3 hexes. On roads, probably 4 hexes. In this kind of terrain, 2 hexes. I think that's probably fairly balanced, and it's funny that we're kind of getting closer to Tales of Argosa. The thing is that pissed me off, though, is that to move into a hex containing hills takes 2 of your 3 watches. And so, really, then, if you're in hills, technically you're only entering 1 hex per day. And that just pisses me off. That's too much of an abstraction. It just doesn't make sense. So, I don't want to go all the way as far as Axe, where we're counting, everything under the sun. But, yeah, I would say 3 hexes being the norm is good. So we're here. So we can get to... We're right at the border, so pretty much we can get kind of to here, to the road. Little along the road. And we'll camp kind of near the forest. So for that, we were counting... in this area, we were counting a random encounter check every 2 hexes. So we'll just roll 1 for the day. We're good. And then 1 at night. Yeah, I'm skipping the wilderness lore for guiding because we're on a road now, so we're fine. Okay, nothing for the night. So we'll recover another hit point. See how quickly that goes back up. It's nice and good. And then another ration. Down to 4. Okay, now we're along the road. Right here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. We'll get to about here-ish today. And we're going to roll... Yeah, this is kind of a dangerous area. So we're going to roll 2 random encounter checks. All right, and we got 1 right towards the end of the day. So we're going to go with OSE. Because I started using these OSE wilderness tables when I was DMing. And when they stepped away from Evils of Ilmire, and from Ilmire, and they really liked it. We got some wild stuff, but it was kind of fun. So yeah, I think they're solid. I think they hold up. Okay, so it's gonna be a D8 and then a D12, and we're on. Yeah, we're gonna go with grasslands. So we got animals, and we got herd animals. Okay. So we have to decide if they're large, medium, or small herd animals, such as elk, caribou, antelope, something like that. So I don't know. I guess any of them are viable, right? Yeah, any of them are pretty viable. So we'll just do 1 or a 2 is large, for 3 or 4 is medium, 5 or 6. All right, small herd animals. So this is antelope, deer, or goats. Let's go with goats, I suppose. I think that's solid. There's going to be 3d10 of them. All right, there are 16 goats kind of herding in this area here, somewhat near the road. We're going to see them from far off, so they're kind of just roaming and munching on grass and stuff. It's a big herd of 16 goats. And we are not in a position to deal with... I mean... You could probably pick off 1, but we don't really have any ranged weapons. The only thing I have is portals, and I can't make portals that far, so... Yeah, there's not much we can do with this. It's there. It's a possibility. You never know what you're going to encounter, and it makes a lot of sense that you would encounter just a pack of goats herding in the wilderness. And if you were traveling with an army, it'd be like, fuck, man, let's hunt down all these goats. It's a lot of food. But we don't really want to or need to or can, so we will move on. So now we're going to camp for the night. D6 for the encounter check there. That's nothing. Felina's back to full health now. And another ration usage. So on and so forth. Good thing I bought extra rations, because it came in handy. Alright, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get into Phandelver just in the evening. So I got 2 more random encounter checks. We're good. We get to Phandelver. We'll settle in for the night and report all our accomplishments in the morning. So we'll spend, for food and room and board, we'll spend 5 silver each. So we'll just spend 10 here. Done. And we settle in for the night. She's already at full health, so it doesn't matter. Nothing else recovers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then in the morning, we're going to go around to complete our side quest, hand in our side quests. So we have the Sister Garel, who was the Coneyberry thing. The Banshee. Yeah. So we tell her what we wrote down about the spell book, and apparently it's really, like, we didn't really get much information, but apparently it's useful to her order. So she's grateful, and she gives us 3 potions of healing as payment for our efforts. Now, that's pretty nice reward. I mean, a potion by itself is worth 2 XP. So combine that with the fact that there's 3 of them, and we completed a quest, which I like to throw in a little bonus for. I'm not going to give 6 XP for 3 potions of healing, but I'll give 3 XP for the 3 of them. Or is that a little high? See, this is what I'm saying. I tend to skew XP higher. And that's why we use a different XP system. But let's just do, all together, we'll do 4 XP. It was a pretty easy side quest, but it's a nice reward, so we'll say 4 XP. So let's go here. Potion of healing. Well, technically we'll use the axe name. Potion of cure light injury. So this is going to heal 1d6 plus 1. We'll put this in battle gear. There's 3 of them. Done. Okay, so 4 XP total for that whole thing. So we do hit level 2, which is very exciting, but we're not done yet. Still going. So then we have the Old Owl. If the characters can ensure that no threat to the town is brewing at Old Owl Well. That's what it says here. Now, if we go look at the Old Owl Well section, it says, learning about the Red Wizard's presence at Old Owl Well completes a quest given to the party by Darren Edermatt. So, kind of 2 separate things. Let me go to the here. Let me go to the original module and just see what it says about the Old Owl Well. Learning about the Red Wizard's presence completes a quest. Oh, okay. So you get... Oh, no, this is more specific now. You get 200 XP equally among the characters if you parlay with the Necromancer and report back. You get 800 XP if you defeat the Necromancer and his zombies. That makes much more sense. I think that's much clearer. Because the quest probably just says that if you can convince him that no, the actual quest is a little bit broader than it. It says, find out who's there and what they're up to. Darren knows that the ruins are an old watchtower of an ancient magical empire known as Netheril, where his dangerous magic might be dormant there. Yeah, so honestly, I think we do complete the quest. I agree that we didn't complete it to perfect satisfaction, which would have been dealing with the necromancer and 12 zombies. But I think the two of us can make the case that, look, man, there were like 12 zombies and a necromancer, and we tried, but it's a little too much for us. So we'll tell him everything that went down there, and we'll hand in the side quests. Will he give us the boots? I think he should hand off something that's not money, some sort of relatively minor magic item. So let me go to the treasure section of Tales of Argosa and just maybe look at some of the minor treasure that could be thrown around. Minor charms or something. Yeah, minor charm. Let's roll a D100 for this. 63. It's a plain cold iron ring that squeezes the wearer's finger when a fey being or spirit is within far range. Okay. It's a minor charm. I can't argue with that. How much XP is a minor charm worth? 2. Same as a potion or a scroll. So, okay. Then combined with the bare minimum of completing that quest, that's probably similar to the Coneyberry Banshee thing. Probably another 4 XP. Mostly, it's a trek out there, and we did. If we just thought there were zombies, that would probably not be as good. But we did confirm there is a guy there. So, we'll give 4 for that as well. I know, I'm quite generous. We haven't even gotten to the big one. Okay. So then the big one is the mayor, or whatever he's called. Town Master. 100 gold piece contract to any group that can drive the marauders and any goblin companions away. Yeah. Defeating the marauders completes a quest, blah, blah, blah. 100 gold pieces reward. Okay. Well, then that's it. I mean, he's not going to weasel his way out of it or anything. So, yeah, 100 gold, which is going to now take up... No, he can take 100 without taking a slot. Good. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's not that major. 100 gold would be basically like an XP, pretty much. And then I guess we're going with a token 2 XP for a side quest sort of thing. Unless the side quest specifically involves like really helping out like an innocent or something like that. Like you're actually saving someone's life or blah, blah, blah. I think 2 is a reasonable enough value. The problem is with my XP system is that eventually leveling up is going to become absurdly time consuming. But I feel like I, as a DM, will just naturally kind of adjust to that curve, and I'll just start throwing out like 8 XP, 10 XP, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not overly concerned about that. It's not a good, like, system for having, like, a system set in stone. It's not a good way to do it. Right in your rule book. Yeah, just kind of adjust your XP as they go and, figure it out. But luckily, I'm not writing a rule book, so it's fine. So, with the 100 gold, 2 XP, we'll give 3 more. So we're up to 18 out of 10. Which means that technically then we are at 8 out of 25 is our new total. Yeah, and that's all good. So level 2, we get to increase our... Well, let's just do this real quick. Boom. And boom, yeah, numbers go up. Good, good. We get +1 to an attribute, as long as it's not above 16. So... Yeah, I mean, probably the smart thing is to increase my intelligence so we don't fail when I actually want to fold space. I mean, I agree that that's probably the most sensible, especially because we are going to be getting, like, probably gravity pulse or something. So, yeah, I think that's the most sensible. And for Felina, she definitely wants Dex. Because we're also getting a new skill, and she's almost certainly going to take Stealth. Yeah, I think that's makes the most sense. So, probably they should both take Stealth, to be honest. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, why wouldn't I? So let's just do that. The skills, Stealth. There is an argument for traps and locks, actually, instead of them both taking Stealth. But generally, if they're going to go Stealth somewhere, they kind of want to be together, because there's only 2 of them. So having them both with Stealth is smart. Right. And then the last thing they get is a new ability. Level 2, +1 attack bonus. I don't think I added that. Oh, no. She doesn't get another attack bonus. So, yeah. She does get deadly speed, though. So now she gets +4 to her initiative score. Jesus! That is kind of obscenely good, to be honest, since she's already dex-based. That pretty much means she just can't fail. She can only fail if she rolls a 20. Well, that is pretty nice. That might be a little overpowered. Maybe +2 is more in line with what I should do. I don't know if there's... Actually, let me look. I'm going to look at the unique features section. Because I'm pretty certain there's going to be something that adds to your initiative. Or maybe not. Well, no, I can tell you that, for an example, the fighter, if they're using the single weapon default style for their adaptable thing, they get a +2 to initiative. So I think +2 is much more in line with how this should be. So we're gonna go ahead and we're play testing in real time. Yeah, that should be 4 is kind of ridiculous. Okay. Good, that's good. And she got the new skill. And then the Star Mage at level 2 gets Distortion Shield. So now any part of him that is extending through one of his folds gets +4 AC against any attacks. How often is that going to come up? Yeah, not too much, but it could. Again, I'm just kind of borrowing one of those things from the original playbook. It wasn't that interesting in the original playbook, but, you know. So we'll create item, ability, distortion, shield. I don't know. If you got any suggestions for something that would be cooler, I'm all ears. +4 AC for any parts sticking through fold. Okay. And then they both get another one of their kind of main abilities. So yeah, I mean, there's a few that would be much more likely that I would pick than others. So a big one would be Gravity Pulse, because it's just shenanigans galore, you know? You can warp gravity around someone or something within close range. I mean, that's already just extreme. So, you know, any creature or object lasts for 1 minute or until your concentration breaks. And you can increase or decrease it the gravity. So if increased, they become massively heavier. Anything that gets close to it is pulled in by its gravity. I don't mean that to be close range. I mean that to be like melee range. And the exact, Dungeon World, obviously a very narrative system. So the mechanics of that are entirely just kind of up to the whims of things. Whereas usually we like to be a little bit more mechanically defined. I mean, I would say, like, if you're in melee, and if you're in melee and if a target is affected by this gravity, like they're getting pulled in by it, I would say probably have like a -2 on attack rolls and saving throws and stuff. I probably should write that, but it's already kind of a lengthy thing. But that would probably be what I would do. If you decrease the gravity, they become massively lighter, can leap or be thrown great distances with ease, falling slowly. An unwilling creature is granted a luck strength save to resist the effect. Yeah, I mean, it's almost certainly what I'm going to pick, because there's just so many things you can do with that. I mean, it was one of the, between the portals and this, like, that was really all I ever needed as a Star Mage, and to just accomplish an insane amount of fun stuff. Other thing would be Nova, where I can conjure small stars within melee range. So it's mostly kind of useful just for combat, because you can cause them to implode with an int arcane lore check, which would be very likely to succeed, and then dealing 3d6 damage to everything within close range. That is a pretty absurd amount of killing potential, if you think about it. Like, especially in combination with my unlimited little portals. I could have just looked into that cave, created a portal into the center of it, dropped a star, closed the portal, and detonated it. And I would have done 3d6 damage to everything in the cave, which very well could have just slaughtered all of it, including the bugbear, but very likely killing everything but the bugbear. And that would be it. It would just be like one ability and done. And I mean, that's a pretty crazy thing. That damage might be a little too high, and it might be just a little too overpowered. Because if you compare it to like a magic user, like a Tales of Argosa magic user, that's probably where how we should balance it. Let me go to the spell section and basically look for like Fireball or something, because that's kind of what we're casting here. Is sort of a timed Fireball. Well, how can I not find the spells? Okay, here we go. What is the name of the Fireball version in this one? Hellblast. So it's far range, fills a close-sized area, causes 1d6 damage per caster level, and the luck dex save for half. Okay, that's probably the thing that I'm missing there, is they would get a luck dex save for half. Yeah, okay, that's much more balanced. So it's balanced a little bit. Technically, if you get this at level 1 or take it at level 2, it is going to be more powerful than a magic user with Hellblast. But as time goes on, this will always only do 3d6, whereas Hellblast will eventually do like 96 damage. So yeah, eventually Hellblast will be far greater. I think it's balanced a little bit more though by the fact that a magic user I don't think they can cast it. You can only cast it a couple times per day or something like that. You cannot cast the same spell more times than your int mod per day. So for most magic users, for probably their whole career, will be 2 times. So they can only cast 2 Hellblasts per day, whereas our Nova, our stars, we can cast theoretically up to like, you know, 9 times per day or something. Right. So it's good. Personal gravity, pretty good. You know, if we want to zip around or, you know, move along the ceiling or something, it helps a lot with stealth. Can help with fall damage. You can do various things with it, but it's hard to compare it with the utility of gravity pulse. I would never pick, if I have the option, I would never pick personal gravity before gravity pulse, but sometimes personal gravity would be what you'd want instead in certain situations. Echoing Pain could help Harris with actually dealing damage alongside Felina, because she can hit pretty hard. And if she, for some reason, doesn't kill something with a hard hit, he could easily just snap his finger and Echoing Pain to kill it. That does have utility, but not nearly as much as Gravity Pulse. Yeah, I mean, there's other ones that I'd be fine if I just got it randomly or something, but given that I can pick any of them, it's just, yeah, you can't really beat Gravity Pulse if you're the type that likes to do various shenanigans, which I do. So we're gonna give him Gravity Pulse. We're also gonna move Celestial Alignments up to 2. Yeah, which is a thing. Like Celestial Alignments, that number is going to keep going up as we gain levels. But Fold Space is based on your int mod. So that actually is not ever going to go up unless we can get more int from like magic items or something. So by default, we're not going to be able to fold space that much compared to like Gravity Pulse. But I feel like if you end at level 9 and you have 9 uses of fold space each adventure and 9 uses of celestial alignments, it's a little much. So for balance purposes, it's probably better to do it this way. Because you do get unlimited little hand-sized portals. So yeah, I think that's okay. I think we're okay. So create item, ability, gravity, pulse, increase or decrease gravity on target within close range. Luck, strength on unwilling. 1 minute. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. That's gonna be very good. Although, granted, with that Hobgoblin cave, or the cave, I think the portal was the best approach, even if I did have Gravity Pulse. I don't know what I would have done in that specific scenario with it. But Nova would have been even better, so. Felina. She gets another use of Flow. And she gets to pick a new Flow ability. We probably, yeah, I mean, most of this is combat oriented, so there's not much decision here. I think some sort of AoE might be appropriate, like Whirling Death. Make a dex check with a -2 penalty for every enemy beyond the first within melee range of you. On a success, deal your weapon damage to all enemies within melee range. Honestly, it's kind of insane, because it's irrelevant of AC. So you could hit just like a heavy plate armored, Death Knight just by making a dex check. And if you're only facing one, it's kind of a little hack to just basically do an automatic hit. As long as she gets a 16 or under, she just deals her weapon damage to it. It maybe is a little overpowered, but she doesn't get that many flow uses. So maybe it's okay. I think that's probably the best one. Spinning defense is not bad. It's not an action. You can just use it as part of like an attack or something. And so until the end of the next round, all melee attacks made against you are rolled with disadvantage. For a 2-person party, that's pretty good. She is going to be in the thick of it quite often. But, yeah, I mean, she already has Distracting Dance as a possibility, so I think we're going to go with Whirling Death. Yeah, I mean... Shadow Coils right now would last 2 rounds. She'd get another +2 to her AC for those rounds. It's not bad. It's not bad, but yeah, I think Whirling Death is kind of pretty cheese, so we'll take that. Class ability. Action. Dex. Check. That's an X? What the fuck? Dex check with -2 for every enemy pass first. Deal melee damage to all. Pretty much it. Done. Alright, and I think that's it for level 2. Good. Good. We feel powerful. The whole world in front of us. At this point, I mean, I feel like we're probably going to long rest, I think, because we have nothing pressing on our time. You know, we don't know that the Rock Seekers and all that stuff, and I mean, realistically, something would be happening to Gundren Rockseeker, but yeah, we're not super pressed for time, and mainly we just want her rerolls back. So yeah, I think we'll just sit here and long rest. It's a pretty minor reason to long rest, but like I said, as far as our characters are concerned, nothing is happening. And even if Sildar does come to us and say, hey, yeah, I heard about the things you did, do you want to maybe go check out this goblin castle? And he lays out the whole plot for us. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess we can do that. We'll get around to that. I don't know if Sildar... He might make it sound like it's urgent because Gundren is still missing, but probably Sildar assumes that Gundren is dead, right? I mean, why would he still be alive at this point? It's been days and days since he was captured. Like, I don't know. And I don't even know exactly where Gundren is, to be honest. Because we didn't really get that far. I honestly, I don't know. Gundren Rockseeker. It's not going to say here where he is. It just goes to the bestiary. Yeah, I have no idea where he is. He's not in the castle, I'm pretty certain. Because there's the king in there. Oh, he is unconscious nearby. See unconscious dwarf. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know why he's still alive. It says they want to question him to determine if anyone else knows the location of the mine. Then he intends to kill him. It's like, okay, a lot of time has passed for that to still be... That's the thing when you run these pre-written modules and stuff. You just gotta not worry about that. And I remember seeing a post about... I think it was about Tomb of the Serpent Kings or something, and somebody brought up, like, kind of like a plot inconsistency or some sort of issue with, like, it was really minor. It was like, what do the goblins in here eat or something like that? You know, it was one of those things where it's like a DM thinking about it really realistically, and the top response was like, okay, your players are never going to give a shit about that. You know, they're never going to bring that up at all. And it's true. I mean, you can think about this and you have the whole picture in your mind and you think like, this doesn't make any sense. When you're a player, you don't think about this kind of nonsense. And instead, your players are going to think up of some other nonsense that you never thought of. So there's no point quibbling about these minor kind of plot realities and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, for a group to be like, why is Gundren still alive? What are you doing with him? It's been 10 days, blah, blah, blah. And you might have to spitball some response. That the spider was away and just arrived here recently and has been questioning him or something. You just sort of spitball something, and unless your players are real assholes, I'd imagine they back down any questions like that. Right. So yeah, we're in a long rest. So basically a week goes by and we get our 2 rerolls back. The only thing is we have to spend money at the inn. So we're saying 5 silver a day out here in Phandelver. So basically a gold per day for a week is 7 gold, which is everything we got in gold from that cave. How easy it goes. Now would be the time where we'd want to buy stuff. We have this perfume, 5 gold pieces each. It's technically stolen. Assuming they look the other way on that. What do we say usually? It's a 10% cut. So, that would be 5 silver less. So they're technically being sold for 4 gold, 5 silver, and there's 3 of them. So that's 13 gold, 5 silver we're getting out of them. Yes, good, yes. 13 gold, 5 silver. So, bada bing, bada boom. All right, perfume sold. I don't think we had any other treasure really. So, what else do we want to buy? We're pretty low on slots. I would say we probably want to get another jabroni or perhaps a donkey if we don't want to give the guy a half share. It is kind of valuable to give him XP, and get him maybe into a spot where he can do some fighting. But a donkey just is a donkey and does donkey shit. And based on what I recall, we can definitely buy a donkey here in the village because it's 10 gold. So 10 gold for a donkey to carry all our treasure is probably worth it. We're gonna spend that. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna make it as a. Oh, I guess we can make it as a hireling. They still don't get. Yeah, they don't get equipment slots. So fuck that. Yeah, fuck that. I'm just making it as a character. And his name is Donkey. And all we care about is his slots. He can carry 15 slots. And I just want pack gear at 15 slots. Although I don't have to. Yeah, we can overload it. So anyways, he can carry 15 slots. So I guess we put our bedrolls in there because we don't need to carry those with us. So that's done. We'd probably carry extra rations. So it's 1 gold for 7 days of rations. So let's. We don't want them to go bad, although there's no way in fucking hell that I track that. That is very much a video game thing that I would never account for. Unless the easiest way that I would maybe do it is if I'm running a campaign where I have a calendar and I'm actually tracking the days, which I have done when I did Red Hand of Doom and stuff. I tracked it very specifically by day. Right now in Evils of Ilmire, I am keeping a calendar and tracking the days, although it's not super important. But then you could just say, okay, at day 27, whatever, these rations are going to expire. Or they're going to start to rot or whatever. That would be the only way I'd really consider tracking is if I have a calendar. And you always should, if you're going to run an OSR campaign like this, you should have a calendar. Ideally, you have a calendar already set up with all the weather for the region. I mean, that's the best way to do it. Then you don't even have to remember to roll. It's just like, oh, it's day 16. It is, cloudy with some light rain. But I digress. So, whatever. We're not tracking that. We don't care that much. So, we're just going to buy, let's spend 3 gold. And get these rations bumped back up to 7. In case my donkey goes over a cliff or something, I don't want to have all my food on him. So, yeah, we'll keep holding our own rations, and then we'll carry 2 weeks worth of food on him. Other things that we might want to have. There's lots, I suppose. There's plenty that we could think of. One thing that I would say that's often useful is like a tarp. Various use for a tarp. You could buy caltrops. I don't remember if we had a value for what those cost. Surprisingly, not listed here unless it's listed under traps or something. Traps? Not really. Huh. If I search caltrops in this book, you're not going to give me anything? Oh, there it is. Siege engines. It's under siege engines. 20-ounce bag of caltrops is 10 gold. That's way more expensive than I thought. That seems like something you could make yourself, but I guess it is metal, right? Yeah, I suppose. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes metal, blah, blah, blah. 10 gold. If I remember to get the caltrops out of my donkey, I probably should keep it in Felina's bag. That's another thing. I mean, with that cave that we assaulted, if you didn't have portals, throwing caltrops out in front of the cave entrance and calling them out or whatever is really not a bad way to kick things off. I assume they mention what caltrops do in here. Creatures moving at half combat speed or less can move through them safely, blah, blah, blah. You have to succeed on proficiency throw. Blah, 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 blah. Stepping on a caltrop deals 1 damage at combat speed or 1d4 damage at running speed. Okay. So they're not insanely damaging. Assuming they're not running out of the cave, which they might have been, but assuming they're not, it's just 1 damage. Which isn't insane. Let me see what other people have to say about caltrops. So here's from Carcass Crawler, issue 0, which is a magazine for OSE. It says, creatures moving through the area have a 2 in 6 chance of treading on a spike. Victims suffer a 50% reduction of movement rate until they are healed. I think that's reasonable. I think the biggest thing for Tales of Argosa is that if you do a party retreat, where the whole party agrees that they all want to retreat from a fight or something like that, it's a luck roll. It's a group luck roll, but you can get a bonus on it by doing things as part of your explanation of how you're retreating. And so one of those things that you very much could do would be throwing down caltrops, which is like, unless you're being chased by a flying monster, that's like a pretty guaranteed nice bonus to your luck rolls. So I would say very unlikely for you to not get away by throwing caltrops behind you, so pretty nice to have on you just for the purposes of retreating, and retreat should be something that's in your vocabulary. Let me just look quick at the... yeah. Caltrops actually are in Tales of Argosa. Dex check or reduce speed until spending action tending to feet. Yeah. So pretty much what Carcass Crawler says. It doesn't do damage. It just has a chance to reduce your speed. So Carcass Crawler has just a 2 in 6 chance, which is very old school BX kind of shit. Whereas this makes it a dex check, which I think is a bit fairer. But really, you ignore that entirely for the sake of the party retreat, which is a bit more of a cinematic kind of montage-y thing. It just would apply a bonus to your luck rolls. So, yeah, honestly, I think caltrops are good to have. So I'm going to spend the 10 gold, which is... it is actually a bit less than Tales of Argosa would charge you, which would be 3d10 gold. Let's go here. Gear, caltrops. We're going to put this in battle gear for Felina, so she has it on her. Done and done, and we will deduct 10 gold for that. We'll spend it in silver. That's 100... No, yes, it's 100 silver. Good. Done. Spend silver where you can. Other things. Hunting traps, manacles. So many. I mean, I really should just... The issue I always have when I just buy stuff like this is I don't want to think about the prices for all these things. But, I mean, Tales of Argosa does have a big section of common gear that's all worth 1d3 silver. I'm not going to roll. I would just say it's all 2 silver. Anything on that list, 2 silver. Which in our case is 2 gold. Which is a lot. That is a lot. I can't believe they get away with that bullshit. No, I'm not going to do that. 2 silver, honestly, is more applicable. But some of these things definitely don't. And I don't know how the fuck you're going to put grappling hook on common gear costing 1d3 gold, when most games charge 25 gold for a grappling hook. So really, ignore everything I said. It's not a useful table. Damn it. We have to go with axe, as always. So things that we could buy and carry on our donkey: shovels, pickaxes, a tent, oil, a 10-foot pole, spikes, iron spikes, torches, crowbar, all these things, really. Block and tackle even, but with gravity pulse, that's kind of redundant. We probably should have some ranged weapon, but the portals kind of nullify that fairly significantly, although it's only 30 foot. So, yeah, I probably should have. But what can I use? He can use fucking darts or a sling, and she can only use javelins. So my options are a little limited for the two of us. A javelin is range far, so that's 60. Sling is actually very far, but it's only D4. Yeah, okay, I'll probably buy a sling, I suppose. Alright, I'll buy a sling. It's decreed. Sling. And it says that stones are in abundant supply. But it's 1 item slot for your sling and 1 slot for your stones. So that takes up 2 slots. Fuck. Whereas a javelin is 1 slot, but you throw it. So fuck. Do I really want to take up 2 slots? I guess I can get rid of the staff. And then we're basically fine. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, but I never put in dummy armor slots. Oh, no, Mang. Breaking your own rules. Fuck. Oh, fuck, yeah. We're both wearing leather armor. Man, I was really getting away with murder there. Well, it never affected anything, but yeah, her pack slots are full from dummy armor. And his pack gear is full from dummy armor. So, over to the donkey it goes. Unless you absolutely need this shit on your person. Dump it on the donkey, because the donkey goes in dungeons with you, so it's nice. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I should buy some of this stuff. Pickaxe, shovel, I don't know. Torches? Yeah, torches. Yeah, torches. Okay, we'll buy a bunch of torches. Torches, and then we also have tinderbox, which doesn't take up a slot. So that's a silver for torches and 8 silver for the tinderbox, so that's 9 silver. Probably crowbar, actually, because we have very low strength. So having something on hand would be pretty nice to help open something. Since we also can't pick locks. So we'll go with that. So that's a crowbar for a gold. A tarp, yeah. Which I think I'm just charging like a gold for. Because it's not quite a blanket. It's just a tarp. So a gold for a tarp. There are uses though. Many uses for a tarp. Tarp. We know what it does. We know what it is. We know what it do. Yeah, you're not encumbered. You're fine. Yeah, you know, there's plenty of things. Little things. Oil, I suppose I could buy. Yeah, why wouldn't I buy oil? Alright, we'll buy 3 flasks of oil for 9 silver. Get rid of more of this silver. Weighing me down. Oil flask. Oil flask. Oil flask. Now that's bullshit. 3 slots, but fuck off with that. 3. There we go. That's good. I think we're good. I think we're fine. That's our shopping. We have a bunch of money, but, you know, we want to accumulate money in order to hire a small militia. All right. And so weeks gone by, and we're like, okay, I guess we'll go check out this castle, which is not depicted on this map. I don't know what these symbols are. Oh, no, we don't have to do that just yet, actually. There is one more thing you do kind of in between that, and that's Thunder Tree. That's sort of the last thing before Cragmaw Castle, which really kicks off the plot, because you find Gundren in Cragmaw. So you're not really going to fuck around after that, because he's going to take you to Wave Echo Cave almost certainly, or you're going to be led there in some other way. So we should do Runes of Thunder Tree, which is a fun little thing, because we get to fight a dragon, which will be That'll be something. The fucking axe dragon has got to be nightmarish. Yeah, a lot of very... Well, actually, you could fight a very young dragon, a spawn even. But a very young dragon would have 14 AC, 4 hit dice, has a 2% chance of being capable of speech. It's pretty much insane to find anything less than an old dragon by itself, but it is possible. It would get 2 attacks, a bite and a tail attack, both doing 1d8. Oh, that's if we use the... Oh, there's different forms. Yeah, a drake is the traditional dragon. That's what I would go with. So a drake would get 3 attacks, a claw, and a bite, dealing 1d3, 1d3, and 2d4. Honestly, it's not that insane. 14 AC's not that high, and 4 hit dice puts it at about 18 health. It's dangerous, sure, but it's not like catastrophic. Then the one in Thunder Tree is a green dragon, so it would get a poison vapor cloud, 40 feet by 40 feet. And a young dragon gets... A very young dragon, I mean, would get 1 special ability. Which depends on the dragon's habitat and alignment. So we'd probably just pick, the breath weapon. And it feels the most appropriate. It deals 1d6 damage per hit die of the dragon. Whew. So that is a 4d6 hit of poisonous vapor. That is probably going to hit. But you do get a blast saving throw, which is a dex saving throw in our case. So luck dex. If you succeed, you only take half damage and avoid special effects. So the poison vapor... The area of effect is partly obscured, and attacks into or through it suffer a -2 penalty, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Okay. Yeah, alright, I guess it's nice having this big chart based on the age and everything, so if you want to fight young dragons and stuff, or if that comes up, the stats are not insane. Whereas if I go to the Tales of Argosa dragon... it's probably just going to be pretty ridiculous. Let's see here. Dragon. Okay, they have a dragon and they have a young dragon. So their young dragon has a 17 AC, 10 hit dice, 2 claw attacks at 1d12, and a bite attack at 2d10. It also has poison breath, far range, 10d6 damage, and 1d6 strength loss, with a luck con save for half that. I assume half the damage as well. Yeah, so their young dragon is pretty vicious. Their regular dragon is 20 hit dice, plus 8, 22 AC, fire breath, 20d6 damage, and burning. Luck dex save for half. Good Christ. So fucking 20 hit dice. That means that all dragons in Tales of Argosa are venerable dragons. Actually, yeah. 22 AC, 20 hit dice. And then their breath attack would do 20d6. Yeah, okay. So, honestly, this chart's pretty good then. I would go with this. And I'm pretty sure the dragon... I don't know. I don't know what the dragon in Thunder Tree is meant to be. The old tower. It's a young green dragon. So if we wanted to go then with young, this would be a 15 AC, 6 hit dice, which would put it at about 27 HP on average. And then it would do 66 on its poison breath. Yeah, I suppose that's more appropriate for the kind of threat that it is, because it is meant to be fairly dangerous. It's got 136 HP, 18 AC in 5th edition. It's a CR8, so for 2 characters, it would be quite the problem. So yeah, okay, we'll go with a young one for it, but yeah. Alright, I think we're going to leave it off here then. Next time we'll go to the Ruins of Thundertree, which you can see is basically like an outdoor dungeon, essentially. There's a bunch of buildings, and you kind of go room to room, sort of, and there's various encounters and stuff. It's a little combat heavy, but, you know, most dungeons in 5th edition D&D are. So it'll be kind of interesting how we tackle this. There'll be some creature conversions and stuff we have to do. And then the dragon and stuff. So it'll be plenty of fun. Yeah, I'm just picturing, like, using gravity pulse on a, like a big boulder or something, and having Felina just toss it as hard as she can at a dragon, and then turning off the gravity pulse, like, at the last moment. That's gotta be pretty solid damage, right? Gotta be. Gotta be, man. Because, I mean, you hear Tales of Argosa, you have giants that can hurl boulders, and that does, like, 4d6 damage or so. So, yeah, I think that's probably about appropriate. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, that's what we'll be doing next time. All pretty good stuff. For now, though, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging, Shattered Obelisk, Tales of Argosa. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.